What's up, guys? It's your boy Jay, and today I have another deck profile for you. We have the Shining Sarcophagus deck profile. Uh, I, it's a deck that's based off of the anime where little Yugioh plays against Atem during their final battle, and it has a lot of signature cards from the anime. I thought it was a really cool deck, and I thought I could cook with it. I haven't taken it to locals yet, so I'll let you know how it does in that format. But right now, I've filled out the deck. I did a couple, you know, interesting choices to kind of fill out the deck itself. Um, it mainly focuses around the banishment. There's a couple cards I would tech in here just to make the consistency a little better. But otherwise, I think the deck profile is ready, and let's just get into it. All right, so the first card that we're gonna start off with is Shining Sarcophagus. This card could easily bump to 3. I don't have a third Shining Sarcophagus, but there is some interesting tech that you could do with Shining Sarcophagus and Forbidden Droplet, and we'll get into that when we get into the board breakers. Um, you kind of want to play 3 Future Silence. This is the Stratos of the deck. The spell Stratos in that case is like the Rhoda. Definitely play this at 3. I only have 2, so we're gonna run it at 2. We have 3 Turn Silence. While you control a Shining Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions it, it's a monster negate. Uh, and both this and Future Silence both have effects that happen in the grave or like during the battle phase. Uh, Obviously, Future Silence, I'm pretty sure allows your opponent to draw 6 cards, or both you and your opponent to draw 6 cards, which we'll get into the implications of that a little later. This one ends the battle phase after damage calculation. So even though you might end up losing a monster, you can still end the battle phase, which keeps them from continuing to attack. And then we have 3 copies of Ties That Bind. This is easily one of the cards that could be dropped down to 2. But we pulled it, so I added a third into the deck just for the sake of the profile. Next off, we have our Stratos of the deck and MVP, and that's Gadget Trio. Gadget Trio is really good because it allows you to search for any spell card or Gold Sarcophagus card. So this could easily search you Future Silence or Turn Silence. Uh, so this is a really good card to have in the deck. This is obviously a bonkers card, and we play 3 of. The next card that we play is 2 Silent Magician Swordsman, or Silent Swordsman. The reason we play 2 is because he is the monster negate, and then we also have 2 Silent Magician Zero. Silent Magician is your spell negate. It also says aura effect, so I believe that's also a negate for pretty much anything other than a spell. So this is a more important card. You can easily bump either aura to 3 and then keep the other one to 2. It just depends on the matchup or how you feel it's more significant for you while playing. We have more Marshmallow. This is really interesting because along with Turn Silence, you can easily bump this card's level to 3 and then special summon this during the battle phase, and it will add as an extra layer of protection. And then the moment that they go into damage calculation and it gets destroyed, you can activate Turn Silence in order to keep the battle phase ended and move them into main phase 2, which is a pretty good 2-card combo just in case if you're a little bit more susceptible to being attacked. We have 1 Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. This card is the MVP and needs to be played at 3. Period. Okay? It's great. It is the board wipe of the deck, right? As long as you can get the summon off and pay half your life points, like, you're pretty much golden, right? Um, and for every card that is banished as both you and your opponent, it gains 300 attack. So you're going to see why it becomes so important. Alright, we're gonna move on to Spell and Trap, starting with Dark Hole and 2 Lightning Storms and a Harpy's Feather Duster. You're just focusing on board wipes at this point. You're trying to survive each turn and you're trying to board wipe. I thought this was the best that I had for me in my instance of what I could use to build. obviously pulling Harpies or Lightning Storm turn one, and then going into turn two, break their board, and then attack them. Unfortunately, this deck doesn't really have very good boss monsters, so you're gonna probably have to find a way to substitute the damage for grindability or vice versa. So we'll get into that a little bit. We also have two Cosmic Cyclones, and that's for the spells. Obviously, it benefits off of cards being banished. So the more cards that are banished definitely help Gandora in the long run at bumping up its attack. So with that in mind, that's pretty much what the whole deck is kind of focused around. Even though they're board breakers send cards to the graveyard, we're really trying to build up that attack count when Gandora hits the field and wipes everything. We also have the one call by. The one call by also helps this because obviously banish. So this is a really interesting tech because I don't know if I would play three. I think I would play three of these. But we have Dark Ruler no more, and we have Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is really good because if you end up sending monsters or anything you control to the graveyard to negate effects, this is way better than this because you can still put damage on the board. Even though you've negated all of your opponent's effects, I feel like negating their effects and reducing their attack is enough to crawl over the board and just beat over it. So honestly, I would play Forbidden Droplet at 3, and once you've used the effect of Golden Sarcophagus, and if they negate it, it just kind of stays on the field. So knowing that it's gonna stay on the field during that time, you can easily just get rid of it, go into a gadget trio, search another one, activate it, and get this card's effect going off correctly. So I easily think that there's a lot of times where Shining Sarcophagus gets stuck on the board, and this is a good way to kind of out yourself and use it as resources for at later points in the duel. Um, Pot of Prosperity and Triple Tactics. Honestly, this is another card I would play at 3 because the deck really performs well when you get monsters banished. Uh, I was thinking about putting Dimensional Fissure, but there was not enough board state in which all the board wipes and the Dimensional Fissure really popped off. So easily Pot of Prosperity to get Gandora to be your big, beefy boss monster really becomes a very important uh, key to the deck. Obviously, this allows you to get into your search cards and your Stratoses, your Rhodas, essentially. You can also toss in Rhoda for uh, Silent Swordsman Zero. I don't know if it's really that good of a card. If it but it does give you the monster essentially. So if you do have a gold sarcophagus and you need a monster and you want to activate Ties That Bind, uh, we have two dimensional barriers in the deck. The dimensional barriers are really just here as placeholder cards. I think this is good for like a going second matchup, and you could easily tap these cards out. But if I were to main deck some other cards, it would be Pot of Prosperity, 3 copies, and I'll get rid of the dimensional barriers. And then we play 3 Infinite Impermanence, and then 3 Ash Blossom. Alright, what's up? This is going to be the test hand portion of the video. I'm going to go ahead and show you the best case scenario about what we would end up with a really good hand, and kind of show off a 2-card combo that I feel is much more interesting than trying to do a real test hand. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're gonna go ahead and activate Future Silence. If it's activated during the battle phase, both you and your opponent player could draw up to 6 cards. So this is really up to you whether or not you want to extend or push for board. So in this case, we're going to use it as our Rhoda, and we're going to use it as a starter, and that's going to go ahead and add us a gadget trio to our hand. So with Gadget Trio in our hand, we can normal summon Gadget Trio. That's going to go to the graveyard. So you can either search for another future silence, or you can search for turn silence if you need a monster negate. But in this case, you really want to go for your Shining Sarcophagus, right? So we can set up for a turn 2. If they try to activate Ash Blossom, you can easily go ahead and activate Call By to keep it from resolving, keeping Shining Sarcophagus on the field. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and add um, Gandora G to our hand. This is for the clapback portion of the turn, especially for going second. Um, and then this is our 2 card that allows us to kind of set up for the follow-up board. But we can activate Ties That Bind. This is going to allow us to special summon out 2 monsters that mentions Shining Sarcophagus from the deck. So we bring out, obviously you wouldn't want to put them in these zones, but I'm just going to do it for sake of room. But you're going to go ahead and bring out Silent Swordsman 0 and Silent Magician 0. Both of these cards are very important to kind of really help you get that follow-up play going. Um, getting these guys on the board, you can easily pass and still feel quite protected. Hopefully, with the deck profile, you do end up with cards like Forbidden Droplet or Harpy's Feather Duster. So when you go to, you could really kind of break out board and set up with some monsters. Now, using the both of these monsters have you know effects that kind of help the board state out a little bit. This Silent Swordsman 0 allows you to protect your monsters and spell trap cards that mention or Shining Sarcophagus. And Silent Magician 0 is an Omni negate, essentially. It allows you to negate a spell card effect or card effects. So easily you got monster, you got spell, and then this Shining Sarcophagus cannot be destroyed by monster effects. Now using this, you easily want to set up for board wipe and the clapback. Um, Personally, I would not want to get rid of my follow-up in this case. I would, if this was turn 2, we would actually hold on to the tie-up binds and activate this after. Um, right? So we go ahead, we search Gandora. You activate Gandora's effect, or Gandora can special summon itself while you control a Shining Sarcophagus. So, and then paying half your life points, you could destroy and banish all cards. You definitely want to be wary of the effect of destroying to banish, because cards like that trigger off of being destroyed will still get their effect to go through before being banished. Just cards that obviously resolve in the graveyard won't get their effect to resolve because they're being banished instead. So with that, you wipe the board, and then hopefully you destroy a certain amount of cards that give Gandora an extra bonus. In this case, it's 300 attack for each card that's banished. So besides your own gear monster, this could easily be starting at 25 or no 15 1500 because it'll be at 3. The more cards you send to the banish, the stronger Gandora is going to be. So the later in the grind game uh you can bring him out will be the strongest. Also, uh, Gandora also has an effect, special summon a level 7 or lower monster that mentions Golds or Shining Sarcophagus. But at the moment, there's no real level 7 that you could target to bring out with this effect. Um, I hear that there's rumors that they're gonna bring a Dark Magician and Summon Skull to the deck, so maybe those might be a good boss monster to help push for game. But until then, you can easily bring out another gadget monster, or in the case of this one, you can easily bring out Silent Swordsman 0, Marshmallow, pretty much any other monster uh, that mentions Shining Sarcophagus. and then you could go ahead and activate the ties that bind and set up for a potential board for setting up and having something to interact with your opponent on the follow-up turn. So let's just say in this case, Ghidorah summoned Marshmallow because of the effect, and then that allowed us to get both Silent Magician 0 and Swordsman 0, right? I think this deck has a lot of potential. Obviously, there's better cards to side into it. Hopefully, you like the little test hand slash best optimal 2-card combo. There's a lot of ways to kind of get into both Shining Sarcophagus and Ties That Bind using you know cards like Gadget Trio and Future Silence. So if you guys like the profile, please hit the like button. Drop down in the comments what deck profile you want to see next. Make sure to subscribe if you want to start seeing more content from me, especially these deck profiles. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.